What is up, everyone? Hope everybody that has the package is here. If not, this video is going to be on demand until at least tomorrow night, with the race starting at 8 o'clock. Lock going to be creeping up on us faster than we know. NASCAR's back. We got 22 hours and 30 minutes to make lineups before that happens. I'm excited, man. I don't know if you guys saw the videos and stuff, but obviously, I am definitely pumped up to get the season back rolling here. Like, it's that time of the year, and obviously, we're getting started with an event that is not a full race. So, if this is your first time playing fantasy NASCAR, I said this in the article as well. Don't be afraid to go a little light this weekend. It's 17 cars, only 75 laps, so the upside is definitely there to play. There's a lot of people going to be attacking some of these guys that are big names that not necessarily in the best starting position, not necessarily the best play on the board. Looking at, you, Brad Keselowski. Yeah, I'm looking at you. Your crew chief pulled that number one chip, and obviously now you're a guy that in this format I just don't love. I mentioned it when I was doing the article. I was looking at past performances here at the Unlimited, the Sprint Unlimited, the Clash, what it used to be. Just the preseason opening event is the easiest way to say it. And over the last 10 events, the pole sitter one time has scored over 22 fantasy points. One time out of 10 events. So looking at the upside, it's not worth the risk for a guy like Keselowski. Obviously, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask him. I, said earlier that if you had any questions, I would answer them. So I'm going to start here with this one right here. It's, in NASCAR, do you run with a tournament lineup and a cash lineup? Well, here's the thing. In NASCAR, I'm playing a lot more cash. I feel like I have a massive edge in NASCAR. Obviously, that's why you guys are here. You guys believe in my edge, and I'm helping you guys learn the sport as best as I know it. Obviously, I'm at the track. I'm doing a lot. I know the sport, so I'm playing cash games. I do think there's an edge in cash games in NASCAR. Saw that a lot last year, so I do play NASCAR cash games. And tournaments, it depends on the weekend. I'm going to say that a lot throughout the year. It's going to depend on the weekend on a lot of the tournament slates. I'll run anywhere from one tournament lineup to 150. It just all depends. It's going to be a lot easier to run 150 lineups, especially the lineup builder for Roto Grinders will be up next week. I'm super excited about that. So if you guys have used it for other sports, it'll be up for NASCAR next week. If you guys have the NASCAR package here at Roto Grinders, you'll be able to export the projections right into the lineup builder. So that's going to be awesome. So if you're wanting to roll out multiple lineups, it's going to be an easier way to do it. How do I weigh position versus strength of driver and car? I see top-ranked drivers with top positions, and I'm confused whether you fade the best pole positions. Obviously, guys like Harvick, Hamlin, Keselowski, or good drivers, is it pole position or ability to that we should be looking at elsewhere? All right, so this weekend it's 17 cars. The worst Brad Keselowski can score is 11 points. If he doesn't lead any laps, he doesn't get any fastest laps, if he finishes dead last, the worst he's going to get is 11 points. Just looking at it, the risk reward for playing Keselowski, Hamlin, McMurray, Austin Dillon, it's very minimal to the risk reward for playing guys like Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Matt Kenseth, Suarez, Buescher. Like, the minimum amount of points Buescher is going to score is 27, and his upside is 62 without any laps led or any fastest laps. He's going to score 62 if he wins the race. So a guy like Keselowski, if he wins the race without any fastest laps or anything like that, his upside's 46. And I'll what I'll do is after we're done with this video, in the By the Numbers article, I will put the heat graph that I make every week. I'll put that over there, right there at the top of the page on the By the Numbers, so you guys can see the breakdown of. It doesn't factor in any place or any fastest laps or laps led. It just gives you a raw look at what if Keselowski finishes 10th. Then he's going to score 25 points plus what else? What's going to happen if Chase Elliott scores 5? So it's just, I'll put that over there in the By the Numbers article for guys that are just getting started out. This weekend, I think Keselowski, I think Hamlin, McMurray, Dillon, Truex, they're probably riskier than I'm going to go in most of my lineups. Denny Hamlin has been phenomenal at Daytona. He's won this race, I think, 3 times now. I'm going to have some tournament exposure to Hamlin just because the odds of him winning this race are super solid. So I hope that answers your question. Fastest laps, not predictable. That is definitely true here for restrictor plate. If a guy drags back just a little bit and has to use the draft to run those guys down just a little bit, he's going to be those guys that are running fastest laps. The fastest laps can come anywhere throughout the field here. So it's really tough to project fastest laps. Laps led, little easier to predict, but, honestly, you're really wanting to factor in place differential and finishing position when you're building your lineups this weekend. Let's see. Any more questions? Like I said, if you guys have any questions, obviously just throw them up there and I'll answer them as we go here. I'm not going to do overall rankings. I did overall rankings last year, and everybody wanted them split down to tournament and cash. So honestly, I'm just going to do cash and tournament all year because last year I did overall. This year I'm just going to, driver rankings. Just an overall look at the driver rankings that I do. When we get into the regular season, they're going to be broken down into price points where there's going to be 4 groups. This weekend, I do them by price, Jim. Do them by price. Overall, just looking at the driver rankings. So when we get into the normal weeks, it's going to be down into 4 groups. This weekend, I only did 2 groups because we just don't have a lot of drivers. There's only 17 drivers. So I did over 7K, under 7K. It's all going to be roster construction. So, looking at it, if you're building a cash lineup, looking at the cash rankings, Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth are 1-1 on both boards. So obviously I'm going to have those guys in my cash lineup. If I think they're the best at each price point, they're my 2 favorite plays in each category. So how to use the rankings is, it's going to come down to roster construction. Do you just blindly take 1, 2, and 3 on each group? No. You're going to want to mix and match in cash games. I think the top 3 on the both are the safest 3, but if you do that when you're getting done, you're going to have a lot of money left over. Obviously, it's not a bad thing to have money left over this weekend. One of the first original lineups I built, it had like $4,500 left over. So obviously there's going to be money left on the table. You're going to want to take guys in cash that are starting further back. Like I said, Buscher's worst, day at the end of the day is going to have 27 fantasy points. No matter what happens in the race, Chris Buescher cannot go lower than 27 fantasy points. So 27 fantasy points is his minimum. Looking at the rest of the field, 27 is a number that guys are going to have to start, 16th, 15th. They're going to have to start moving up. So what I do with the rankings each week is I rank those guys in cash. Ranking those guys that I feel like guys that have the highest floor, 1 to 8 or 1 to 9 this weekend, because that's how many drivers. And, moving forward, we'll have 4 different categories, and, you'll be able to see what I think of each kind of bracket. And, in cash, I'm always going to rate those guys that I feel like just have the highest floor, are the safest plays. There's no such thing as safe in NASCAR. I've said that many a times. There's no such thing as safe because at the end of the day, it's guys driving 200 miles an hour and anything can happen. But I'm rating them on paper, pre-race, the best, rankings that I can give as far as cash goes, as far as floor. And then in tournament, I'm, factoring a couple different things into those. I'm factoring in who do I think is going to be low owned, who has the most upside. Like technically this weekend, Chris Buescher has the most upside at 62 fantasy points if he wins the race. Do I think Chris Buescher is going to win the race? No. Do I think at the end of the day he might be a guy that's on the winning fantasy lineup? Maybe. But, factoring in starting position and ownership, I think Kyle Larson's one of the best plays on the entire slate. He's going to be one of my highest owned drivers this weekend. So, honestly, looking at it, I really think that rankings are going to be one of those things that are going to help you when it comes to, lineup construction. Obviously, moving forward, starting with the Daytona 500, we'll have projections up so you guys can kind of see, they're my personal projections this year. So this year, you guys will be getting my personal projections instead of having DFS analytics do it. So, yeah. Let's see. My cash weekly picks will be started on the Daytona 500. Like I posted earlier this week, for the Clash, for the duels, I'll have some content up. The article, I didn't even expect to write as much as I did when I started the article. Got going, missed NASCAR, continued to go. This week is just really a smaller package. We're calling it a mini package. That's why it was only $5 for my season-long guys. Trust me, you guys are definitely not going to be disappointed by the content throughout the year. So, yes, the cash picks will be back where I give out my 3 favorite cash plays, and then if that ends up not working out, it doesn't work out. When you say you're playing mostly cash, I'm playing everywhere from $1 cash tournaments or cash games to 109s. I'm playing just about everything, this season. So, and last season. Eric, the live feed is on, man. Chi-Town Killer Suarez took over Edwards' car, yes, and the equipment is supposedly the same. They did a lot of group riding tonight in final practice. I don't know if you guys checked that out on Fox Sports 1 or not, but they did a lot of group riding. They let Suarez get out front. They let Suarez get out front. They let Suarez get to the middle. They let Suarez get to the back. They ran all 4 of those Jago Gibbs guys a lot. So, yeah. Let's see here. Thoughts on Harvick? In tournaments, I think Harvick is a really good play starting 7th. He's a past Daytona 500 winner. Obviously, you have to like the guy. Had a lot of success here with Richard Childress Racing. It's just, he's a guy that even in the last, 4 Daytona races, like he's been all over the top 5. He's been super solid. And, last February, he finished 4th. Last July, he finished 39th. But, before that, it was 4th, 2nd. So, like, the 3 of the last 4 races, he has top 5 finishes. So, last 4 races. 3 of the last 4 races, he has top 5 finishes. So, yes, he's been extremely solid. I don't think going to Ford is going to affect them this much. I think Harvick's an excellent tournament play. In cash, I don't even hate him for cash. I think that, looking at Harvick for cash, I would probably – it's so close. Like Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick you're asking me this question, and those are the 2 guys I'm like still debating on, who to play in cash. And I think you can even throw Joey Logano in there in cash. I think that if you're looking at those 3 guys, I think Logano is probably the play over Harvick, and it's so close. The projection that I would give those guys is extremely close. So, I don't hate Harvick for cash. I will say that. I think that he has a really good showing here this weekend. You know, 1, 2, 3 accidents in his last, 20 races here. So stays out of trouble at Daytona. Why no DFX analytics this year? We just couldn't come to a deal. There's business behind this kind of stuff, and there's business, in life. And at the end of the day, business has to work, and it just didn't work out. How do I factor in DFNs? Did not finish as you mentioned Harvick or Larson. Honestly, Daytona is a place that obviously you can look at, wrecks and accidents and factor that in. Sure. At the end of the day, something it could be absolutely not his fault. A tire could go down right in front of him and he could hit it. And, it's just, do I like people like Clint Boyer who, hardly ever wreck? My boy Ty Dillon, he stays out of, accidents a bunch. Do I like those guys? Would I be likely more to play someone like that? Yeah. This weekend, it's 17 cars. They're racing for first place. There's no points awarded. It's an all-star event. It's a preseason all-star event. So this weekend, do I factor it in? I won't even look at it. For the 500, I'll definitely look at it. And we'll talk about that next week for sure. Talk Danica. Oh, girl, Danica Patrick. I wrote her up in my article. If you really want to know my full thoughts on Miss Danica Patrick, her and Stenhouse just need to hurry up and get married. It's going to happen eventually. Anyway, back to the question about Danica. I think Danica is a tournament play this weekend. Obviously, you can't trust Danica Patrick in cash games. Even though I did that a bunch last year and she was fine and she had one of her better seasons last year. She looked really good. Well, she always looks really good. Don't tell anybody that. Honestly, Danica is one of the better tournament plays this weekend. Starting in the 12th position. Nobody's going to play her because she's Danica Patrick, and we saw that last year. Her ownership percentage was just awful. It's a 17-card field. Just looking at it, she's starting 12th. If she finishes in the top 8, she's going to score 40 fantasy points without any laps led or fastest laps. So she would need a top 8 to get 40, and Jimmy Johnson would need a top 5 to get 40. Obviously, Jimmy Johnson can get a top 5. Just saying, risk reward a little lighter with Danica. Nobody's going to play her. I think she's an excellent tournament play. Let's see here. Guys, why are you guys fighting in chat? Come on. Answer the Harvick question. Do you create a core for season or per race, and how do you get to your core? It's going to change every week. I do like building a core. It's just going to change every week. It's going to, when we get past Daytona, we start getting into Atlanta, we start getting into Las Vegas, we start getting into everything else. Like, we're going to start talking about practice so much more. We're going to start talking about 10-lap runs. We're going to start talking about all this other stuff that's going to factor in on top of where these guys are starting. It just doesn't matter this weekend. Like, the fastest lap of final practice was Denny Hamlin, and it was when he was the 3 or 4 of them were running together, and it's when he was just way behind them, and he just finally caught the draft and drafted back up to them. That's when he ran the fastest lap of final practice today. So, at the end of the day, practice and stuff, practice just isn't going to matter, at a track like Daytona or a track like Talladega. Suarez in cash, or is he too risky? I don't know if you need the price savings for Suarez in cash, but he's one of the safer plays. Him and Buescher both just starting 16th and 17th. There's no downside. There's 26 and 27 DK points no matter what you get from Suarez. If they finish last, either one of them finish last, you're going to get 26 or 27. And if you get a top 10, you're going to get over 40 fantasy points from either one. So, it's definitely an option. I think Suarez and Buescher are both options for cash. I'm still debating on whether I'm going to play those guys in cash or not. There's a good possibility that one of those two guys end up on my cash lineup, though. Is there a way subs get a hold of you with random questions? I've tried Twitter and email with no luck in the past. I don't know about all that. I get back to everybody just as fast as just anybody. But yeah, you can click my name on here in the chat, and you can send a private message. So yeah. Oh, let's see. First time. All right, who will win the race? Let's see. My race winner. I have two guys that I think have a really good chance to win the race, and it's Chase Elliott. I think has a really good chance to win the race, and he was just so close so many times last year. And I think Denny Hamlin. It's hard to bet against Denny Hamlin right now. He's just been so good at these races and so good at Daytona over the past. It's just been phenomenal. Daytona, Denny Hamlin and Daytona have gotten together really well. Oh, let's see. First time ever playing NASCAR. Don't really know much of the sport. Strictly a tournament player. Any tips? First tip I will say with NASCAR is don't be afraid to leave money on the table. Leaving money on the table in NASCAR, I said it in chat earlier. I built 3 lineups, and I'm still trying to debate which one I'm going to use in cash. I only do play one lineup. It was anywhere from $4,500 to $1,000 savings in just a cash lineup. So, like tournaments, definitely going to have some crazy tournament lineups that are going to leave a lot of cap. So, do not be afraid to leave some cap on the board here. It's very, very normal in NASCAR to leave money on the bench. I think you're going to look at teams that, why the heck do I have 5,000? 5,000 on the bench or 5,000 left remaining salary, and at 5,000 remaining salary for this race with the salary cap so soft, it's just extremely soft. You can play anybody you want this weekend. It's ridiculous how soft it is, by the way. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is the first tip I would tell you for NASCAR is don't be afraid to leave money on the table. Second tip I would tell you, if you like somebody, for all the reasons above, qualifying position, good track history, not a lot of downside like I was talking about with Suarez or Kenseth or those guys, just play them. At the end of the day, it's a 17-person field. It's 75 laps. We're probably going to have a bunch of ties at first place in tournaments this weekend. So don't worry about ownership too much if you're building multiple lineups, because I do think we'll see ties at the top of the board. I have a buddy on the fence for buying a sub. Told him you're the man. He's between you and Rotodoc. Any way to sway him or tell him to get both? Dude, Rotodoc's one of the best in the biz. We talk highly about each other because I feel like me and him do great work. His NASCAR stuff is great, so I have nothing bad to say. Tell your buddy to check out both, man. Check out both. Those those weekly packages are there. So for sure. Anyway, Truex or Larson for last spot in cash? I would go Larson. I think he's safer. Just looking at Larson, his worst outcome is 21 fantasy points. Truex is 15. Larson gets 45 fantasy points with a top 5. Truex gets 39. So just to kind of give you an idea, Truex would have to finish second to get 45 fantasy points. And like I said, when let's see, I can actually do it right now. I was going to wait until I was done and put this heat graph up, but I'll do it real quick for you guys. So if you go to the buy the numbers section at the top, right under where it says the Clash, I'm going to put my heat graph on there. Obviously, blue is cold, red is hot, and white is in the middle. So you guys can it's up there now, so you guys can check that out. The By the Numbers article, right at the top is a heat graph. So the left side is going to be starting positions. The top is going to be finishing positions. And like I said, it doesn't factor in, laps led or fastest laps, but you guys can check that out. Open up another tab, and you can see the heat graph that I have built. So to kind of give you an idea, especially if it's your first time. If it's your first time playing NASCAR, you definitely want to check that out. That'll give you an idea. So, for instance, if Joey Logano, he's starting 9th, and if he finishes 9th, he's going to end up with 35 fantasy points. So that'll give you an idea. Keselowski, if he finishes first, he's going to score 46. Obviously, he's going to score more than that because he's going to get a lap led and fastest laps being up at the front. But if something happens to Keselowski and he finishes last, he obviously has the most downside. That's the problem with playing a guy that's starting first at a track like Daytona. It's a rough thing for sure. Do I play every DFS sport? Honestly, I play baseball and NASCAR the most. I still play football quite a bit. Basketball, NASCAR and baseball, I'm playing so much. Like basketball, I'm probably playing $400, $500, $600 a night. It's not as even close to what it used to be. Basketball is so tilting. NASCAR, you can do research all week. Football, you can do research all week. And at the end of the week, like not much has changed except for NASCAR. Right after we get qualifying and practice, we're pretty much knowing who we want to lock in. So if you guys have any more questions, throw it in chat. I'm going to hang out for a few more minutes here unless we don't get any more questions. And then I'm going to get out of here and get to start building my lineups. I have a lot of lineups reserved for that $3 tournament. I haven't even started building lineups yet, so that's definitely what I'm going to do. Who would you recommend for cash, Harvick or Larson? Yeah, I probably would say Larson. I think it's still pretty close, but I think Larson starting 11th, like I was saying a minute ago, you can go to the By the Numbers article. Like Larson starting 11th, if he finishes in the top 5, he's going to score 45. If he finishes last, he's going to score 21 without any fastest laps, without any laps led. Kevin Harvick, to get to 45 fantasy points, has to get up to third, and he can get 18 fantasy points or 17 fantasy points if he finishes last. So I think Larson is he's such a good play this weekend in this race on Saturday night. My favorite tournament play? Oh, man, my favorite tournament play. Like, it's tough because even though Matt Kenseth is super chalk and Kyle Busch super chalk, they're probably going to be my two highest owned guys. Larson going to be one of my highest owned guys. Chase Elliott going to be one of my highest owned guys. So, like, if I had to build a cord, probably be those 4 guys would be my 4 favorite plays on the entire slate. My favorite tournament play, and I'm probably going to regret it, is going to be Chris Buescher or one of these guys like Daniel Suarez that just are going to end up disappointing me. Is it better to play larger field contest or smaller, indifferent? I don't have a huge bankroll, but enjoy playing. If you don't have a big bankroll, what I would do is I would check those 3 entry maxes out. Let's see what they have here. Pull up DraftKings really quick. Do they have a 3 entry max? Yeah, they have a 3 entry max $3 tournament. So you could put 3 teams in that. You can have $9 invested with a chance to win $1,000. So, you're wanting to do this more for fun and you enjoy playing. So attack these tournaments that, you're not playing against 150,000 people. Those are not the tournaments for you. If you want to build 5 or 6 lineups, throw 3 in that 3 entry max, then attack the $1 single entry, the $5 single entry, stuff like that. Like, you can get exposure and, use different tournament lineups in different tournaments and just have fun with it. Like, if you're going to throw 5 teams in the $3 contest, you're going to be going up against guys that have 150 teams and you're just limiting yourself. It's just, you have a chance to win all that money. The $3 tournament this weekend pays $4,000, but you're at such a disadvantage. You're at such a different advantage, man. Is it better to play large? Oh, I just answered that one. Favorite 9 to 10K player for cash outside of Kyle Busch and Logano? 9 to 10K without Logano would be Harvick. I like Harvick more than Jimmy Johnson, so that's what it comes down to. Oh, let's see. Good show. Appreciate you. Sold me. Man, I'm glad that I sold you on the total package. Trust me, you will not be disappointed with the content and the package this season. Like I said, the projections exporting right over to the lineup builder is going to be huge. I'm going to be doing 2 videos a week as the season goes along. So as the season goes along, next week I'm going to do a video for the duels and then the 500, and then moving forward from that, I'm going to do a preview video each week. That'll probably drop Tuesday, Wednesday at times. Talk about the upcoming race, talk about what kind of strategy we need to look at. And then on, the night of final practice, I'll be doing a video each race. So, 2 videos a week and projections, everything you guys see for sure. Yeah. Oh, no, Tommy G. I don't want Tommy G to know where I live. Love the guy. Man, that guy can't know where I live. I actually invited him to come hang out. He needs to come down to Daytona and hang out. So I invited him for that. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'll be popping in and out of chat. If you guys run into any questions when you're building lineups, I'll be in chat quite a bit tomorrow as well. I'll be at the media center pretty much all day with 500 the 500 guys are practicing tomorrow. So I'll be hanging out at the track pretty much all day during the ARCA race and stuff. So I'll be hanging out in chat as much as I possibly can. So if you're watching this video on demand and you have any questions, just pop in the chat and I'll get to it as fast as I can. And then for everybody watching live, I obviously appreciate every one of you guys for buying the package this season. Helps me, and it lets me do what I want to do with the NASCAR product. So I appreciate you guys checking it out. And until next week, or next time you purchase the package, which is hopefully next week, I put that heat graph up for you guys. Check it out, and I'm out of here.